Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, December 19th. This is Green Dot Daily. We are Action Network's daily sports betting show. I'm your host, Patriots fan, very disappointed back in Boston. Brendan Glasheen flew in from Vegas this morning, so this is going to be a tough one for me. Full transparency, right? We're transparent over on the Action Network app. We're transparent with our words as well and our feelings and how we feel in the soul. Not great right now. We're here every weekday at noon Eastern. I'll try to bring some energy now. Noon Eastern, Green Dot Daily, streaming live in the Action app. Also, Action Network, Twitter, and YouTube. Green Dot Daily is presented by BetMGM. Use the bonus code ACTION when signing up to get a risk-free bet. Up to $1,000. Terms and conditions apply. We will be talking Rams, Packers to wrap up what has been an insane NFL weekend. Nick Giffen will stop by to weigh in on what he likes for tonight's game. Matt Moore has an MVP thought in the NBA and also a couple of picks. We'll start with Sean Kerner. Hi, Sean. Going to need your help today to really carry this segment. I'm already feeling it here, trying to do the show. No. As the image of Chandler Jones bullying Mac Jones has not left my brain, and that touchdown was scored not too far from me where I was sitting at that stadium yesterday. But what do you like for tonight? Rams, Packers, player prop.
Yeah, first off, just my condolences for having to see that in person. And the last couple weeks I felt like Jacoby Myers betting on Kyren Williams to go over. So I'm going a different way tonight. I'm going Cam Akers under 55.5 rushing yards tonight. And I'm actually going to work a little bit backwards here and tell you that my projection for Akers is 51.5 yards tonight. But everything that went into that projection itself feels closer to his ceiling than his median. I have completely given up any hope that Kyren Williams, who I consider to be the Rams' best running back currently, and his numbers back it up, will continue to be nothing more than a change of pace back. I'm also factoring in the easy matchup tonight. Facing the Packers run defense is one of the best matchups in the league. And I'm still coming up short on this projection. So after all that, here's why my projection could be a bit too high. An easy matchup can only help Akers so much. He has been absolutely terrible this year. Out of 50 qualified running backs, he has the lowest yards per attempt at 3.3. And a lot of that has to do with just his inability to break big runs. He only has one rush attempt that has cleared 15 yards this year, and that actually just went 15 yards. That is by far the lowest rate of the 50 qualified running backs. And he's coming off two easy matchups already with the Seahawks and Raiders, where he averaged 3.5 yards per rush against those defenses. And last week, the Rams were very run heavy in Baker's first game. He didn't even get a practice in, I think. So they ran the ball on early downs at the sixth highest rate in neutral situations last week. Typically, the Rams are in the top 10, so I expect them to be a bit more pass heavy here. And this potential game script doesn't favor Akers at all. Akers does require a positive game script in order to maximize his playing time. The Rams are 7.5 underdogs on the road here against the Packers. And, the Packers have allowed the sixth fewest plays per game. They play by far the slowest pace in the league. They are capable of having long clock-killing drives, so that does limit the overall volume the other team can have. And last but not least, Akers fumbled the ball last week. He dominated in the first half in terms of playing time. However, he was ineffective and fumbled towards the end there. So his playing time dropped considerably in the second half. And with freezing temperatures in Lambeau tonight, ball security could be an issue. So he will definitely get benched if he fumbles it again. So while I'm projecting him closer to 51.5 tonight, that seems closer to his ceiling than his median. So I really love this under here.
Can you remind the viewers that this pick or a pick on Cam Akers and under, that was the first pick or the first pick in Green Dot Daily history?
Yeah, that was actually his receiving yards prop. And that was week one. And then everyone was shocked because Darrell Henderson actually got the start. And that's been the case with the Rams backfield all season. It's been completely unpredictable. And like I said, right now, I'm just assuming Akers maintains the workhorse role, and I'm still coming up short. So anything can change at any given time. So he has more to lose than anybody in this backfield. So that's just one of the many reasons why I like this under.
Okay, fading Cam Akers once again on Green Dot Daily. Do you have a game pick for tonight?
No, I'm staying away from this one. I would lean Green Bay. I think now that Baker has a week in practice, that's going to help him out. But also, the Packers are going to be ready for him. I think he's going to come back down to earth this week. And, the Packers are coming off a bye, so they're going to be super fresh. But yeah, I'm not comfortable backing them here. So one way to do it is just through this player prop.
Excellent. Very good. Sean Kerner, Director of Predictive Analytics at Action Network. Thanks for your help and your condolences.
All right. Yep. Hope you feel better.
I hope you didn't bet anything on Ramondre Stevenson because that fumble. He had a great day yards-wise, but that fumble at the end could have ruined some lives yesterday.
Yeah, no, in fantasy, he was good. I was telling people to do whatever was needed to have him available for their fantasy teams to wait and see. So hopefully people won their playoff matchups with him. But yeah, no, I didn't have anything on that game, fortunately.
Okay. Someone may have, but we'll leave it at that. Let's go to Joe Gallant. He's got touchdown picks for tonight's game.
Here are my 2 touchdown scorer picks for Rams-Packers, brought to you by the Action Network app. And my first pick is going to be Alan Lazard. I grabbed his touchdown odds at plus 260. And it's a bit of a contrarian pick here because everyone and their dog is probably betting on Christian Watson to score, but I still think Lazard is a solid value in this spot because he leads the team with 11 red zone targets and he's second now on the team with 5 touchdown grabs now that Watson has 8 touchdowns. But the Rams secondary, they've kind of given up entirely. 12 touchdowns to wide receivers this year. To put that in perspective, they only allowed 17 touchdowns to wide receivers in the previous 2 seasons combined. On the Rams side, we're going to be taking Van Jefferson to score a touchdown at plus 375. He has touchdowns in 3 of 6 games this year. He's wide receiver 1 by default now on the Rams with Cooper Kupp and Allen Robinson out. Now with Baker Mayfield in at quarterback, he should see more consistent targets now. He has run the most routes on the Rams over the last 4 games. And for what it's worth, he did score last year at Lambeau Field on a 73-yard touchdown. So those are my 2 picks. We're taking Van Jefferson and Alan Lazard, both tracked at the Action Network app. Bon chance.
KCP, yes! Need more of that. Jokic with a beautiful pass there. By as many as 16. Jokic under the Steph Green. A beautiful assist and a foul. 85-74 Denver. Jokic, here he comes. And he drops it home. 102-97 Nuggets holding on to a 5-point lead here. Jokic shoots another 3. That's good! Nikola Jokic from distance. 35 now for the Joker. Now Jokic around the screen. Got a wide open Bruce Brown 3. That's triple-double. Jokic has his 10th assist. The triple-double for the Joker's 5th this season. His 81st career triple-double.
And the 2-time reigning MVP is making his run for the MVP this year. Could we see a 3-peat? Nikola Jokic at plus 900, the same odds as Joel Embiid. Jason Tatum is still your leader. Giannis and Jokic follow. Matt Moore, who covers NBA for Action Network, joins us here on Green Dot Daily. You can also catch him on the Buckets podcast. NBA MVP. We're not quite at the midway point. We're definitely a quarter of the way through the year, but you look at these odds, Matt, what jumps out to you? Is there something that you find actionable now?
Well, let's go ahead and start with Nikola Jokic. I was at that game last night as he dropped a 40-point, 27 rebound, 13 assist, triple-double, and one of the absolute most ridiculous performance from Nikola Jokic. Going into the weekend, Nikola Jokic was plus 1,900. I've been resistant to the idea of Jokic winning because no one has won 3 MVPs in a row since 1986. Larry Bird was the last player to win 3 in a row. Jordan likely would have if he hadn't taken a little break. However, I think that there will be some resistance to Jokic from the idea of we haven't given anybody 3, but we're going to give Jokic. The question here, though, is really if we look at the top of the MVP board, we may be seeing a situation where, and we've seen this from Jokic before in 2021, where basically everyone else is unable to sustain or get hurt, and Jokic is the last man standing. The Nuggets are 1 game back of the lead in the Western Conference. They're on pace for over 50 wins. So the wins argument last year doesn't necessarily hit him. I didn't think he was going to be able to put up enough stats, but when you drop 40-27 in a triple-double, that helps. And so if he's able to get the numbers high enough, no, he's still just averaging over 25 points. I don't think that's going to get it done in a season where so many guys are averaging 30. But objectively, Nikola Jokic was plus 1,900. On Friday, I woke up this morning to him being plus 900. So the odds have definitely moved in his favor, and that makes a lot of sense. Jokic is going to be in the MVP discussion again. The question is whether or not he's going to be able to surpass or just outlast these other players.
So Larry Bird won the award 3 straight years in the mid-'80s, and then you've seen plenty of guys win the award 2 times in a row. Jokic, of course, himself, Giannis, Curry, LeBron. LeBron did it twice, won it back-to-back years. Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson. So that's pretty elite company if he can join Larry Bird, but that was done years ago. How about the slate for tonight? 9 games on this Monday. You have a couple picks for us. We'll start with the first one you have.
All right, let's go. Timberwolves Mavericks. We'll go under 228. So the Wolves last night put up 150 on the Bulls, the woeful Chicago Bulls. They hit 23 threes in that game. I've been tracking this trend for a while. Teams that hit 20 plus threes, they go under the next game at a 57.6% clip. So you've got this pretty natural progression here of a team has a really hot shooting night, and then the next night things are tougher or different and the rhythm's not there and they kind of regress back to the mean a little bit. Teams just tend to go under in that following game. Both of these teams are on their 3rd game in 4 nights. So this is a bad rest spot. And we've got 2 teams. The Mavericks in particular play at the slowest pace in the league with the longest offensive pace length in terms of time of possession offensively. They grind the game down. And so Minnesota, who is banged up, will probably be very tired up for this game, not shoot as well. And I'm expecting this one to go under. Let's go under 228 Timberwolves Mavericks.
And there's a good one tonight. We've got the Bucks visiting the Pelicans. Giannis v. Zion. You have an angle on this one?
Yeah, let's look at the New Orleans Pelicans here. So I've got this with the Pelicans being favored. The Milwaukee Bucks, their offense has been really mediocre to bad this season. They just simply haven't been impressive on the offensive end. The Pelicans, however, are one of only 2 teams that have a top 10 offense and defense schedule adjusted. So they've really been the better team this season. The market is still resistant, predictably, in terms of looking at the Pelicans as a serious contender. They're not looking at the Pelicans. And I think if we waited another 2 months, the Pelicans will be favored in this game. And so we have an opportunity now to still be ahead of the market, which is tough. It gets tougher and tougher as the season goes along. We have to take these kind of opportunities. The Bucks are 3-4-2 against the spread as a road favorite this season. And then we look at the fact of Bud's, Mike Budenholzer's Milwaukee Bucks are amazing versus Eastern Conference opponents. Not as good versus the West. They're just 43% since 2018-19 in Bud's first season against the spread as a road favorite versus Western Conference opponents. And you go like, all right, is that too specific? This boils down to the East opponents, the Bucks see more. They beat up on them and they're typically weaker. The West opponents are tougher. And so the advantage just simply isn't there. You love betting the Bucks versus Eastern Conference opponents, especially division opponents, but versus the West, sometimes the Bucks are a little bit overrated in the market because of their strength versus this weaker set of opponents. So that explains the 43%. We've got the trends, we've got the matchup. I like the Pelicans here, plus 1.5 versus the Bucks at home.
All right, and you've got an MVP contender possibly in Zion if he keeps this going and stays healthy against Giannis tonight. Zion plus 2,000 MVP odds over at BetMGM. Matt Moore, thanks a lot. Enjoy the games and see how it goes.
Thanks, Brendan.
Back to the NFL, Monday Night Football, your market report, Packers and Rams, Green Bay trying to keep its playoff hopes alive. -7, 7.5 right now at BetMGM. Money's coming in on the Packers. Not by much, though. 52% of the cash, 62% of the tickets on Green Bay. Folks like the over. It's a short number inside 40 points tonight. Or pardon me, most of the bets are coming in on the over, but the money's on the under. All right, there we go. So that's a interesting discrepancy. We welcome in Nick Giffen now. He's part of Sean Kerner's team at Action Network in the analytics department. Thanks for stopping by, Nick.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm in tough shape. You're in Vegas. I'm having a hard time here, but we're making the turn for home here on this show.
Yes,
for those
we are. I share your condolences. My Commanders lost yesterday in pretty rough fashion there as well with a late penalty.
I mean, that's the beauty of those games yesterday. So many great games, but if you're a fan of the teams that didn't come out with the victory, oof, that's a tough day. But for those who missed it, I was at the Patriots-Raiders game yesterday. And just got back to the Boston area this morning. So I was in a disgusting Patriots t-shirt and hat. I showered since, but I hadn't showered. So Anyway, let's get this week over with Green Bay and the Rams. You're going to turn to Baker Mayfield, and he did enough. I guess he did enough for you last week in that come from behind win against the Raiders, which the Raiders lost. They won yesterday. But you're bought in, and of course, some more time now for Baker in this offense compared to
absolutely.
48 hours before.
Yeah, for sure. And this does, I guess, correlate with Kerner's play as well, especially if Green Bay is leading, then the Rams may have to pass more. So I'm going with Baker Mayfield over 16.5 passing completions. You can get that minus 140 right at BetMGM. What I like about this, so far this year, Baker Mayfield's completion percentage is 58.5%, but that's 8% below his expected completion percentage per NFL Next Gen stats. That's dead last among all qualified quarterbacks. So it's kind of like when Kerner was explaining, the Indy Colts had the worst turnover differential. That should regress up. They shouldn't be the worst going forward. Baker probably isn't going to be the worst in completion percentage versus expected going forward. And that's especially true given his career completion percentage is 61.2%. He's had several years where he's been right around even or even a little over expectation versus, like I said, versus his expectation. So this seems to be a bit of an aberration. So I do expect his completion percentage to regress upward at some point. He did have a 62.9% completion percentage last week in his first game with the Rams. And if you remember, again, that was last week against the Las Vegas Raiders. The Rams ran a very run-heavy game script just because Baker had been on the team for less than 48 hours. He hadn't had a chance to learn the playbook, and he still ended up throwing 35 pass attempts. He completed 22 out of the 35 for a 62.9% completion percentage. So while we're projecting Baker for around 31.5, I think is the line on his attempts, because we expect a good completion percentage. I like the over here. Green Bay themselves, they're a top 10 defense in pass defensive DVOA, but opponents have completed 66.4% of passing attempts against them this year. So while they have a good DVOA, it seems to be in smaller chunks, which is perfect for a late game trailing script. If the Rams are 7-point underdog and maybe we lean the Packers, we like this Akers under, then this Baker over kind of correlates with all of that. And then the kicker, the in-game model that I use on Bet What Happens Live, we set that to the beginning of the game. I actually lean even over the 31.5 passing attempts. In fact, it's almost even more of a lean than it maybe even like a play on the pass attempts. It's saying we could get close to 35 pass attempts again for Baker Mayfield. And that makes sense, especially if they open up the playbook more for Baker this week than last week with that extra week to prepare. So definitely think this is a really good spot. I love it at 16.5. I'd play it at 17.5. I think you can get some minus 115s or so around there at minus or at 17.5. But that's probably where I would stop right there. I got it last night at plus 105 at 17.5. I tracked that, but unfortunately moved overnight before the show today.
So completions, right now minus 140, and the attempts are at 30.5. 30.5, the over at minus 125, under 30.5 passing attempts for Baker Mayfield at minus 105. So there you go. All right, well, Baker Mayfield, another week in the offense, and that's good news to Nick Giffen in terms of this spot for him tonight. Thanks for stopping by. Any parting words? Keep Vegas, be good in Vegas, and I really won't miss it for a while.
The only parting word I have is I can't believe we have to wait 4 more years for another World Cup because, man, that game was amazing. That final was amazing.
I also found out when I was out there that Las Vegas is hosting Sports Radio Row. They're hosting Radio Row next year.
Oh,
So,
really?
well, is the Super Bowl in Vegas next year? I think it is, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Great. All right. Good deal. I'll miss it a little bit, but I need a break.
Rest up, Brennan.
We'll see how it goes tonight. Thanks to Nick Giffen for stopping by. Rams, Packers, your game to wrap up week 15 in the National Football League. You can follow all the picks from Green Dot Daily in the Action Network app at Green Dot Daily. It's very simple. You'll never miss a pick from the show. They put them right in there, right after the show, whether it's a future, a pick for that day. We talked to MVP earlier in the NBA. Picks will be in there at Green Dot Daily. Kerner, Giffen, Matt Moore. Thanks to those guys for not only stopping by with their input, but also helping me nurse through this program. That's going to do it for today's show. Green Dot Daily, again, is presented by BetMGM. Use the bonus code ACTION when signing up to get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. Terms and conditions apply. We are here every weekday, noon Eastern. We'll be with you through Friday. I know the holidays are well in the air, but we will be here throughout the course of the week. Thanks to our entire team behind the scenes, our guest today, Brendan Glasheen. Get some green dots. Enjoy the football tonight, and we will join you at noon Eastern tomorrow.